Well, welcome everyone. This is Debbie Mayberry with National Kitchen and Bath Association. You're here for our final webinar of the month on sustainable design. And today's session is called Good Design is Sustainable. And Robin Rigby Fisher is here with us today. She is a certified master kitchen and bath designer. She's also CLIP certified and CAP certified. And I also just want to give a shout out to Gebert for their generous sponsorship for today's session. And Robin, we're ready to get started. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you so much. This is always so much fun to do. So welcome, everybody. So I talk fast. I'm going to try to talk a little slower. So this presentation is on sustainability. And what we need to be aware of is that 30% of the population in the United States does not believe in climate change at all. So this presentation is really about how to sell it without selling sustainability, but I am going to give you background information of why we need to make some choices. So in my business, I have a design firm, and in my business, I specify products that are sustainable. So one of the things that I have discovered when I am interviewing a client, I send my client a lifestyle questionnaire prior to our first meeting. And in that, I ask, like how big is their family? Is it expanding and contracting? How do they grocery shop? That kind of stuff, physical limitations they have. But the big thing that I do ask is what their sustainability quotient is. And I'll get into a little bit more to explain what their priorities are. That helps me to determine what is a direction for their project. So I'm going to just go ahead and get started on this. So why do we want to care about sustainability? Well, first of all, I wrote the book, so that's why you should pay attention to me. But haha. But really, we want to pay attention to our future. And that's my son. He is now 20 years old. So he was cute when he was little. Anyway, what we really need to pay attention to is how our world is changing. So we used to use resources, our planet's resources, very fairly. We would, every year, we had enough population and we used the Earth's resources 1-to-1. In 1970, we used up our Earth's resources for just enough for 1 year. But today, and the last time this was checked was in 2019, we use 1.75% of the Earth's resources every single year. So what that means is you have $100 in your checking account and you spend $175. Doesn't quite work very well. So the reality is, it's not just that we are doing a lot of things that are bad, but there's a lot of people on our planet. And we have to be more resourceful in using our resources appropriately. When we wrote the book, when Amanda Davis and I wrote the sustainability book for the NKBA, that was written in, oh my gosh, like 5 years ago, we were only using 1.5 of the Earth's resources. And today we're using 1.75. And that's only going to keep going up as our population grows. So there are some ways to check your family's environmental impact, and that's to go to the footprintcalculator.org. And what you do is you put in, how do you drive, how much do you commute, what type of foods do you eat, how do you grocery shop, how your house is heated, all of that. And it will give you a little bit of information on how you are affecting the planet. So I do recommend checking that out. It's kind of an eye-opener. It really kind of blows my mind every time. So let's talk about defining sustainability. At the beginning, I said that I ask my clients what their sustainability quotient is, and I ask them these questions. There are 7 things that we define sustainability by, and that's by water conservation, energy efficiency, buying local, buying recycled content, indoor air quality, natural materials, and universal design, or living in place. The new terminology is living in place. It's not universal design and it's not access standards. It's how we live in the home from the beginning to the end of our lives, and that is sustainable. So if you're incorporating those kind of concepts into your design, You're already thinking sustainably. So good way to go for you. So let's start with water conservation. Let's just talk with what happens with water. So when it rains, rain goes everywhere, right? And water always runs towards fresh, our fresh water, our water supplies, our rivers and lakes and oceans. The problem is that as the water runs from our ground and from our roads, it carries chemicals like fertilizer you used in your garden, the oil and dirt from our roads all ends up going into our water lines, our waterways. And what that does is it changes the pH level of our fresh water, which is what causes algae blooms. The technical term for that is called eutrophication. So we need to pay attention a little bit more for a lot of our problems that we have. And that has to do with our infrastructure, which I'm going to explain in detail. Infrastructure affects us as designers, and I'm talking big infrastructure like the U.S. infrastructure, our roads and our wastewater treatment plants and our freshwater supply, and we'll be talking a lot about that throughout this. So if you go online and Google, is garbage disposal good or bad? You're going to get one of two reports. There were two reports put together about garbage disposals, and one was done in Australia, and the other one was done in the US. And if you read them very carefully, if you read the reports, what you're going to find out is that in America, garbage disposals are the same for our environment as anaerobic composting. So there are two kinds of composting. There's anaerobic, which is digging a hole, putting your trash in it and covering it up. And then there's aerobic composting, where you put it in a bucket where it gets natural air and it decomposes and worms get in it and everybody's really happy. So let's kind of look at the issues. Composting, we put food into the composter and it goes to our wastewater treatment system. We have anaerobic composting, which is digging a hole, throwing everything inside it and burying it up. And then there's aerobic composting, which is what this picture is, where it gets natural air and it gets moved around and it decomposes in a quicker amount of time. If you read the reports, you will find out that garbage disposal, using a garbage disposal in the United States is no different than anaerobic composting. And because most people do not understand the difference between anaerobic and aerobic composting, they think, oh, garbage disposals are fine, which sounds great. If you read the report from Australia, it's the same as aerobic composting, but it's because of our wastewater treatment system. So if you read the reports were both sponsored by InSinkErator. And that is why they say in the United States, using garbage disposals is the same as anaerobic composting. But what you need to pay attention to is that the United States US Corps of Engineers every 2 years puts out a report card. And what they do is they put out a report card on our infrastructure, which includes wastewater treatment, freshwater supply, our electrical grid, our airports, our schools, our bridges. There's 9 things, hospitals, there's 9 things that it includes. The one I'm most caring about is our wastewater treatment system plants, wastewater treatment plants, which were built a long time ago and they are failing. So the infrastructure report, the US Corps of Engineers every few years puts out a report, and right now they give us a report card from A to F, and our wastewater treatment plants in 2021 got a D+. Currently, 900 billion gallons of untreated raw sewage is being dumped into our waterways every single year. What does that mean to you? It means to you that as a designer, when you put a garbage disposal in a kitchen, what your clients need to understand is that they think they're doing a great job by breaking down this food and putting it in the garbage disposal. But what they need to understand is that food is really just going straight into our water supply, which is raising the pH level, which is killing off the fish at the top, but keeping the fish down at the bottom really happy. So like the catfish are doing great, but the trout and the salmon are not doing so well. So we need to be aware of that. As a designer, I explain this in a very nice way to my clients about garbage disposals. And many people don't know how, what I find is that many people don't know how to compost. So I do share with them how to compost. There's been many times that I've gone over and actually taught my clients to compost. But I do also live in an area where I live in Portland, Oregon. And in Portland, we have a municipal composting system. And a lot of people didn't understand that using a garbage disposal is not so great. So what they are now doing is using the composting system by our municipality. Or they're composting in their backyard. So there's always options, just conversations to bring up with your clients. But here's the thing for you, is by bringing up the idea of composting, you can add to your bottom line. Many of your clients don't even know that there are options out there for how to compost nicely. So this is an item by Revishelf. I have one of these in my home. Other ideas for composting. What this does is brings up a conversation, and it brings up a conversation that you can then bring up items that you can add into your client's home, which your client wants anyway. It's going to increase your bottom line, and it's going to make their lives easier. So let's consider the one-use water bottle. The one-use water bottle in the United States is not recyclable. You need to understand that only 9% of all plastic in the United States is actually recycled. Even if you separate it, it's just being thrown away. In fact, what most of our plastic is doing is being shipped over to countries who are actually telling us, we don't want your garbage anymore. We don't want your plastic. But our plastic water bottles, our plastic and our one-use water bottles are the single cause of massive pollution in countries like India and Indonesia. We send it over there and then they dump it into their landfills. But what you need to be aware of is only 9% of all plastic is recycled, which is really bad. And in fact, there's a lovely story about 3 little plastic water bottles. One gets recycled, 9% of that one bottle gets recycled. The other one gets thrown in the landfill. And the last one gets thrown on the ground and it ends up into our waterways, which is really bad and ends up going out into our oceans, which I'll show you some really disturbing pictures in a moment. The chart that you're looking here on the left-hand side looks at just our plastic water bottle usage from 1996 to 2010. I have not found a newer one right now, but I am sure that it is much higher than 42.6 billion units every year is sold. I'm going to assume a lot more than that is happening. So remember a little water bottle that goes out into the ocean. A little water bottle takes a little trip down the river and ends up in the ocean, where it ends up into one of 2 trash vortexes. And you think, well, what big deal is that? The problem is that the plastic breaks down, and it breaks down really tiny, and then our fish are eating it because they think it's plankton. And this is a disturbing picture, but this was in National Geographic, and this was a seabird whose belly was just filled with plastic. The little fish thought that this was all food. This is what's happening to your plastic, you guys. Every time you throw something away, this is what's happening to it. It's pretty disturbing. So what can you do? So you notice, you open up the client's pantry and you notice they have Costco cases of plastic water bottles. What can you do? Well, you can help your client. You can help your client by considering putting in water filters in their home. Consider refrigerators that have water filters in it. And when you sell a client a water filter product, do not just sell them the unit one time. Make sure that you give them, that you include in that sale 2 more water filters, so that way every year when it needs to be replaced, they have one to replace it, and then tell them where they can get their replacement water filter quickly. But why would we include water filter? So what you also need to understand is that only The water that goes in a plastic water bottle, which most people do not understand this, is not regulated by the FDA. So essentially, they can go to the tap at their municipality, their factory, open the tap and fill up the water bottle. Most water bottles, many water bottles have been tested for things like cryptosporidium and giardia and a lot of other things in it that we don't want. And why people think that they're buying a plastic one-use water bottle, they think that they're getting something healthier, like cleaner water than using their own tap. And in reality, the majority of them are no different than the water out of their own tap. So when we when we sell a client or encourage our client to put a water filter in their home, we have better tasting water. We can remove the lead. It costs less than bottled water. Bottled water costs anywhere between $9 and $12 a gallon. And that's something they can get for free. I mean, we're pretty lucky here in the US. We have relatively free water, not like other countries where you have to go haul your water from someplace. Our water filters can typically, when you're specifying a water filter for a client, you can make sure that the filter is taking out the items that are in your municipality's water. So it can remove harmful bacteria like cryptosporidium and giardia. It can remove chlorine and chlorine byproducts, so it's much healthier for you. This is a chart of where our water use is used. And the one that I really want you to pay attention to is the leak situation. So this is kind of pretty basic. The last time this chart was updated was 2017. I haven't been able to get a newer one. So the leak situation right now is saying 17 gallons. The actual leak gallon average leak in an American home is 18 gallons of water. That's the newest rating of it. So now that we can see where water is used, now we can talk about water conservation, of how we can help our clients. So bathrooms. And I know we're not supposed to talk about products specifically, but I love Toto toilets. I can stand behind these things forever. I think they're the best toilet out on the market. So that's me. That's not the NKBA saying that. I have them throughout my house and I am super happy about these toilets. I love my toilets. Almost all of their toilets are made in Georgia. So they're made in the US, which is great. We just put in the newest Aquia 4 in our home, and it is a dual flush toilet. For liquid waste, it only uses 0.8 of a gallon, and for solid waste, it uses only 1 gallon of water. And it works, you guys. You have no skid marks. I have never had a client complain about their toilet, their Toto toilet. And if you're helping your client with things like purchasing the bidet seat, actually, I want to go through this real quickly and explain this to you. When I am working with a client on their bathroom, so gentlemen, don't be offended here, but ladies, I do not sell my bidet seats to a woman. It is the easiest sale in the world to a woman. What I do, and I know this is really silly and funny, but I tell the gentlemen in the group, if I'm selling to a couple where there's a man and a woman, I tell them that they need, and I use silly words. I tell the man that you need to go potty and you need to sit. And they go, well, I don't need to go potty and I don't need to sit. And I said, no, trust me on this. It will change your life. So then they take me up on it. And I guarantee you, 8 times out of 10, they come out and they go, oh, honey, we are buying that toilet. So I put an awful lot of bidet seats in clients' homes. So let's talk about the benefit of it. It uses low energy and it keeps the toilet bowl clean. And nowadays we're so becoming very concerned about germs and everything. It's a great option. It's great for universal design in that people can live in their home longer if they can stay clean. So that is a benefit. And if my client says, well, we're not sure we want to spend that much money on a bidet seat toilet now, I tell them, oh, no problem. We'll get this toilet. You can add this seat later, But on every single bathroom project, if I am tearing the whole bathroom down, like it's a complete tear down bathroom, I always put an outlet or a circuit to the left of my toilet. So that way the client has the opportunity of putting a bidet seat in later. And for anything else, even if they don't do that, putting a night light, a plug-in night light right next to the toilet is a really smart thing for nighttime, and for not, if you have to get up in the middle of the night, the light doesn't wake you up, but lets you see the bathroom. Okay, so the California Energy Commission did a study and determined that since 1970, the master or the principal bath has moved an additional 50 feet farther from the hot water tank. So it's moved 50 feet farther. So what that means to your client is that your client gets up in the morning, they turn on the shower, they go to the bathroom, they brush their teeth, they might go do something else, and then they come back and they finally have hot water, which is a real waste of water. So when I am typically specifying a renovation of a principal bathroom, then I will ask them how their water supply is, their hot water supply is. And we will either use a small point of use hot water heater adding one in the bathroom spot location, or we will add a circulating pump. The cost on this is under $500. I've gotten some quotes on this. Between the product and the installation, a recirculating hot water pump put on the hot water tank can be set with a timer. And what you can tell your client is, I know you get up at 5:30 in the morning. At a quarter after 5, your recirculating pump will start putting hot water through the pipes. So when you get up in the morning, you can turn on the shower and it's instant hot water. So again, you're saving water, but you're helping your clients comfort. So, and it's not an expensive option. And we know bathrooms are really expensive. So under $500 to get instant hot water, most of your clients are thrilled with it. You can set it up so that it is on a timer. So it turns on in the morning, turns off when they go to work, turns back on when they come home. So you can wash dishes and take your bath at night, and then it turns off in the middle of the night. So it's not running hot water consistently. So nowadays, this is showing how water is used and where we are, how we're using water. So when we're doing a master bathroom, and I really apologize, a principal bathroom. I've been doing this for 35 years. It's just now the term's changing. So it's taking me a little while to change. So for doing a principal bath, not every bathroom needs a bathtub. And that's really a conversation that you need to have with your clients is, do we really need a bathtub and how do you shower? So what this is doing, this is just showing you how many gallons of water is used when you take a shower or a bath for as long as you take one. So conventional shower heads, which most of you, I'm sure, were just pulling these out. An old shower head is a 5 gallon per minute. If you're taking current shower heads are actually even lower. We in Oregon actually follow California's codes. So our shower head requirement, I think, is down to 1.5 gallons per minute. So it's a little bit different. So everybody's code requirements are a little different throughout the country. But taking a 10-minute shower with a 5 gallon per minute shower head uses 20 gallons of water. Taking the same shower with a 2 gallon per minute shower actually uses less water. So that's, just pretty basic, and we have to deal with codes. So a lot of that doesn't really affect us as much. So let's go back to our infrastructure. So now let's talk about our fresh water supply, our drinking water supply. Our drinking water supply has a rating of a C-, which actually went up a tiny bit. But currently we have 2.2 million miles of freshwater pipes, which are old and they need to be replaced. And every 2 minutes a water main breaks. What that means is that we are losing 6 billion gallons of water every single day in the United States. This is fresh drinking water. Throughout our infrastructure, throughout the entire country, we are losing 6 billion gallons of water, fresh water, every single day, which comes out to almost 3.3 trillion gallons of fresh water is lost every single year. That's a ridiculous amount of fresh water that is being lost. But what does that mean to your client? Because that's water mains, that's not your client. But leaks in American households cost us 900 billion gallons every single year. And what that turns out to is that for your clients are losing on average 180 gallons of water per week to leaks. It's happening to leaks. Crazy. So, have you met Flo? Flow is amazing. Years ago, I went to a conference. I went to CEDIA, and I met the guys who invented invented Flow. And then a few years later, they sold it to Moen, which is pretty cool. This is a product that runs around $500. Your clients don't know about it. So let me tell you about this item. I had a client who called me and said, Robin, you are not going to believe this. That beautiful bathroom you just put in, we have to replace it. We went away on vacation for 4 days and our toilet ran for 4 days. It cost $125,000 of damage because the water went down, ruined the floor in the mat in the bathroom, ruined the hardwood floors outside the bathroom, and ran down into the basement where it damaged everything. For 4 days, the water ran. If they would have had flow on their home for right around $500, flow gets put on your water intake into the home. And what it does is you program it on your phone to turn the water off, not allow any more water to come into the home for 20 minutes every day. So it doesn't allow any more water to come in. And what it does is it determines the water pressure on the inside of your home. And if there's a change in the water pressure on the pipes inside the home, it sends you a text and it says, hey, you have a water pressure drop. And you can say, oh, no big deal. We're watering tonight. That's fine. Or we're filling up the swimming pool tonight. No problem. Or, oh my goodness, nobody's in my house. We're not running the water. Turn the water off, Flow, and Flow will stop any more water from coming into the client's home. Now, all the water in the house that's currently in the pipes will drain out, but it's not going to run for 4 days. And if Flow happens to not work for you, it will pay a warranty. Right now, it's saying $5,000. It will pay as a warranty for it not working for repairs. Anyway, it's a product your clients don't know about. And if you're remodeling their home, you're doing a $100,000 kitchen remodel or even an $80,000, whatever. It's $500, you guys. You can add this to your contract and the clients will thank you. It's a great option. And here's the thing is they don't know about it. So now you do. So you have a one up on them. So consider the bathtub. Does your client really need a bathtub in the home? There was a third-party research report done, and it was actually commissioned by Jacuzzi, and it said that only 38% of the US residents bathe weekly. So Jacuzzi put this report out. Only 38% of US residents bathe weekly, and half of them are men. I would never put a bathtub in my home. I'm not a bather. I do shower every day, you guys, so don't, make any comments there. But I don't bathe. That's like the worst thing for me. But my husband's a bather. But if other people, if your client is not a bather, why are we putting bathtubs in their bathroom? Because it's expensive and it's not necessary. So this is a client who, an unfortunate bathroom. We took out the bathtub, put in a larger shower, and we actually put in a steam shower. And they weren't even aware of it. They never even came to me and said, Robin, we want a steam shower. I just talked to them about it. They had no idea. And I always start off with saying, it's expensive. It's going to cost you around $10,000 more. But let me explain to you the benefits of steam. So here's the benefits of steam. It increases your metabolism. It improves your circulation. It aids in recovery from exercise, pain relief, skin care, stress management, and here's my favorite part, all of this for less than 3 gallons of water for a 20-minute shower. It's like the best thing ever. You can be in there for 20 minutes and not feel guilty and only using less than 3 gallons of water. It's like the best thing ever. So when you have that, bring that conversation up, no, I understand this is not for every one of your clients, but most of your clients will come to you with not even thinking about a steam shower. Bring it up to your client. It's pretty cool. Indoor air quality. So the number one thing that when my clients check for their sustainability quotient, the number one thing that they check is that indoor air quality is the most important thing. I'm going to say 80% of my clients say that indoor air quality is the most important thing. So I only specify zero VOC paints. I only specify Benjamin Moore Aura series paint for walls and ceiling. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, but it's more durable. That's the benefit that your client is getting. So let's talk about this. If your client buys a $20 gallon of paint and a $50 gallon of paint, the $20 gallon, I mean, we're talking 1 or 2 gallons on a project. You're not talking a big deal of cost, but with higher quality paints, they're more durable. The client can wash the walls better. So yes, it's more expensive, but you tell them that you're not going to have to repaint all the time. We can clean your walls. It's not a problem. You can wash your walls. It's amazing. Considering different options like flooring options, wool carpeting, using wool carpeting instead of using a petroleum-based carpet like a polyurethane carpet, using products like cork in clients' homes. And the thing is that clients come to you and they don't even know, they have no idea what is out there. And it's our job to bring ideas to them. This project was 3,500 square feet of cork. We took out carpeting and linoleum in this home and some hardwood floors. And instead of doing hardwood throughout the whole home, we put in cork. What it did was it helped to minimize sound. It helped to, because it's more of an absorbent thing, so it helps to minimize sound reflection. It's warmer to the feet, and the maintenance issue is no different than hardwood floors. So you just clean it with hot water with a damp mop and elbow grease. It's how you have to take care of it. I don't know if you guys know this, but throughout parts of the country, there's a battle over gas. In California, 42 counties have now prohibited the use of gas in new construction. There are counties in Colorado, in Washington, and in Massachusetts who have also enacted these codes. So what they're saying is that if you're building a new house, you can no longer use gas. So what does that mean to you as a designer? Well, you have to feel very fluent in the conversation between gas and induction. One of the things that people love about gas is that it's instant on and instant off, correct? Right? You turn the flame on, it's on, you turn the flame off, it's off. But the cast iron grates they retain heat for a really long time. Well, you can explain to your client that if they go to induction, you have instant on and you have true instant off, because within 1 minute of turning the cooktop off, you can actually touch and almost keep your hand on the countertop, on the burner. You do have to learn how to use it. I still have a hard time making hard-boiled eggs, and I'm a really good cook, but you have to be more fluent in the conversation between gas and induction. And I think that once your clients have the opportunity to actually use it, they will see that induction is even easier to use than gas. So there are ways to be able to just drive your clients towards a product that's more energy efficient, that doesn't off gas. So there are some reports, and I haven't been able to completely substantiate it, that there is a lot of CO2 that comes off of the gas into the home, but I haven't seen enough reports to actually give me enough data to be able to say, here's the reason why I don't use that as a selling point. When I'm trying to educate a client from gas to induction, I really sell them on the safety factor, the usability of it, and how it is true instant on and instant off. So I most of my clients don't even know the difference. So that is my job to share that information with them. Okay, ventilation. I don't know if all of you have to deal with makeup air because it's not required. It's not an issue throughout the whole country. But this is the way ventilation was until like the early 2000s. Fans weren't really required inside a home. All you had to do is open a window. But today we have to deal with makeup air. Again, I live in Portland, Oregon. We follow California, so that means everything has to be as energy efficient as possible. So for those of you who don't know what makeup air is, makeup air means when I turn on a fan in a home, I have to bring fresh air somewhere into a living part of the home. I have to bring air from the outside into the home. Why do we need to do this? We need to do this because of sick house syndrome. In the 1980s, we started making houses super, super, super tight. So, which was great, they're super tight, but when you're actually not allowing any of the VOCs, the volatile organic compounds, to get out of the house. So what happened is when you turned on the fan at your cooktop, you were actually drawing air from somewhere because the house was so tight, you were actually making negative pressure in the home, kind of like drinking out of a juice box. And when you suck it as much as you possibly can, you kind of collapse the box. That's kind of what you were doing in the home. So then we were pulling bad air from like our chimneys and from our hot water tanks, our gas hot water tanks, which were making people sick. So now we have to bring fresh air in. Well, this is the least expensive way to do it, which is fine in a temperate climate, but like in the South, when it's 120 outside, you don't want that temperature coming into your nice, cool home. Or when it's negative in Montana, when it's negative 20 degrees, you don't want that cold air coming right into the house. So what we have to do is bring in fresh air through our heating system. And what this is just showing you is how we're bringing fresh air into like a mixing plenum where the air temperature from the outside gets brought closer to the temperature inside the home, and the moisture content is either increased or decreased, so that way it doesn't damage the heating system. But what does this mean to you, and why do we need to deal with this? Because remember how I told you is that the majority of my clients, 80% of my clients, say indoor air quality is the most important thing. But then we select a fan for their kitchen, and it's a beautiful fan and we really love it. But then the client, and it's a fan to go, so we put a Wolf range in with gas, and we put a 650 CFM fan over it, which is appropriate. And the client's all sold on it, but then they find out that they have to add the makeup air, which adds anywhere from $1,500 to $300 to the contract. So then you get the client who says, oh, I'm going to get a fan that's under 400 CFMs, and I'll just put that in and it'll be fine. So that's kind of like getting the heat, odors, grease, and smoke, the hogs, out of your home. The hogs, heat, odors, grease, and smoke is what comes off of your cooking surface. To get those out of the house, it's kind of like using a straw to get rid of it. It's just ridiculous. So you have to educate your client that now you need to go back to indoor air quality was really important to you. I understand that, yes, you have to spend more money because of this code requirement. But remember indoor air quality. Here's the selling point. The average family of four, and this was the average family of four, this was before COVID when everybody was home all the time. The average family of four only produces 1.5 meals a day at the home. Now remember, this was pre-COVID. They produce 4 gallons of grease every single year, and the average family of four does not fry food, okay? So that means if you don't have good ventilation, you're taking those 4 gallons of grease, 4 milk jugs and just pouring that over your cabinets, over your floors, into your lungs. It's just disgusting. So you have to go back to, why are we doing this? You said indoor air quality was really important. We're putting this gas range in and we need to ventilate it. And now you want to cut your ventilation because you don't want to spend money on indoor air quality, on your makeup air. Let's go back to why we are doing this. So it's just having the information to be able to talk to your clients. Okay, moisture fans in bathrooms. One of the things that drives me crazy is when people don't use their fan in a bathroom. I just tore out a bathroom that had black mold everywhere, because we're talking black mold ceiling to floor. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever walked into. It's because the clients did not use their fan. I don't know how you could live that way, but that's what they did. So for clients like that, or for kids' bathrooms, use motion sensor fans so they actually will turn on, or moisture rated fans so they will actually get turned on, because black mold is really disgusting, you guys. I love my husband a lot, but we would have these arguments constantly about him leaving light switches on all the time. This drove me nuts. Like the garage light fixture would be left on all night long. It drove me crazy. So I watched another presentation by another designer a few years ago through the NKBA, and she said, put motion sensor switches in. It saved my marriage, you guys. We now have a motion sensor switch in our garage, in our utility room, in our pantry, and in our master closet or principal closet. And it has saved our marriage. There's no longer complaining. And it didn't cost much. It took 1 hour and 1 trip to Lowe's. It was like the best thing ever. So consider putting motion sensor switches in those rooms. And I promise you, your clients won't even think about it, but it's really smart, and you're saving your client. And they can easily be programmed so they stay on longer. Some case studies just to kind of show you some ideas. This is a project where we try to make it as environmentally as possible. The cabinets were all zero VOC finish. The countertops, the wood countertop on this island was reclaimed gym floor. The flooring is marmoleum, paint zero VOC. The laminate cabinets countertop is actually has banana leaves in it. Super cute. It's really cute laminate. And then the tile was from Oceanside. And if you go on Oceanside's website, you can actually see which glass has recycled content in it. So not all of their glass has recycled glass in it, but there's a lot of colors that they do have that is recycled, which is pretty cool. Just showing a few different directions on it. Yeah. This kitchen was in a McMansion in just outside of Portland, and the client called me a few days before the contractor was coming in to tear out the back of the house. So what the contractor was going to do was tear out the whole back of the dining room and the kitchen all the way out to that octagonal little eating nook, and build straight across, but still keep the dining room as this narrow dining room. So it's only 10 feet wide, and make it just longer and narrower. And when I walked into their home and I looked at their dining room, I said, so their dining room table was filled with Legos. And I said, well, do you use your dining room? And they said, yeah, for Legos. And I said, so the contractor wants to build it and make it longer, and it's still going to be narrow. I said, why don't you use your dining room? And they said, well, because it's too narrow. And I said, so your contractor's going to make it longer and it's still going to be narrow. And she said, yeah. And I said, so you're just going to make a bigger Lego room? And she said, well, I guess that's all we're going to do. And I said, do you do your living room? And they said, well, yeah, for the train set. They had 4 kids. So the train set was all over the living room. Well, do you use your living room? And they're like, well, yeah, for the trains. That's what we use it for right now. We can't use it because it's too small and it's too far away from the kitchen. So I had suggested to them to get rid of the dining room, move the kitchen over. So what we did is this. So I proposed this idea. They freaked out and thought, no way, we can't do it because we need a formal dining room. So I brought over a real estate agent and I said, what do you think? And they said, great idea. It's not going to devalue your house at all. So on the right-hand side of the space, we left that as a big eating space for 16 people. So that area became big enough to be able to have a table for 16 people. The living room now gets used on a daily basis. He's a pianist and he comes home from work and relaxes and plays the piano while they make dinner. And now when they have big parties, back when we could have real big parties, the adults hang out in the living room really close to the food, but close enough to hearing the kids, which is all the way on the right-hand side past that arched opening, which is the family room. So they can still hear what the kids are doing. Everybody's close to the food, but they are now using their living room. So what I did is I increased their square footage, their usable square footage of their home without increasing their taxes, because I didn't increase the back of their house. I didn't destroy their backyard, all their landscaping they had in it. And I didn't have to increase their heating and ventilation system because the amount of square footage that we added, that the other contractor proposed, would have increased the square footage enough to where they would have had to increase their HVAC. So I save them money. I save them taxes. I mean, a lot of stuff. There's like so many things that we did by using existing space, which is sustainable, you guys. We didn't need to make it any bigger than it had to be. That's what it looks like. And this is interesting. I was just interviewed by a magazine and they said, send me pictures of a sustainable kitchen. What you need to understand is that sustainability doesn't have a look. It's what you do. I mean, I really consider the products that I use. I make sure that the materials I use are as locally sourced as possible. All the tile is from Pratt & Larson tile, which is made here in Portland, Oregon. So it was nothing to get it to the project site. The countertops are all Cambria quartz, which is made in the United States. The cabinets were all locally made, which were all zero VOC, all LED lighting, all low flow faucets. All the faucets are touch, they're sensor faucets, so that way you turn them on and off on a regular basis. All of the appliances, actually all the appliances are Wolf and Sub-Zero, which are made here in the United States. So there's ways to be sustainable without having a sustainable look. So it doesn't all have to look like Organic Annie lives there. So there you go. This is what we covered. Why we need to design sustainability, what defines sustainability, the methods to incorporate into your project, and the tools to use to sell without selling sustainability. So, any questions? I did it. I did it in an hour.
Well, Robin, thank you. That was really, really interesting. A lot of great information. And we do have a lot of questions, some comments.
Great.
So I'm just going to dive right in.
Fabulous.
So good. So Christina, she said, plastics also leach into water when the bottles sit on a shelf for a few months or when the bottle gets warm. So I think that was from your earlier discussion
Yes.
about the water and plastics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joyce says, anyone with a septic system shouldn't install a garbage disposal. She said, we weren't aware of this until we built our home over 44 years ago. So she said, we can only use it to be sure that it's not clogging the water when it goes down.
Well, actually, that is, so I have a farm and we have there was a garbage disposal in there. We took it out. But what I have learned with your septic tank, you need to feed your septic tank every month. So we would buy really crappy beer and you pour a beer down every one of your drains once a month. So you take turns, right? So it's the downstairs shower one month, and then it's the downstairs toilet, and then it's the sink, and then it's the upstairs bathroom, and then the toilet and sink. You know, that was 3 months. One bathroom was 3 months. You should feed your toilet. You should feed your septic tank with beer once, and it could be really low end beer. You don't have to do anything fancy, but that's what the septic tank needs. It needs food.
That's interesting. So it needs that fermentation process.
Yeah, it really does. Because there's critters that live in there that we want to work. Because, oh my gosh, having to have your septic tank pumped is really disgusting, you guys. It's really gross.
Well, I happen to be the owner of one, so I know what you mean. And we just did
Yeah,
that recently. So, but it's a necessary evil, I guess.
it is a
Um,
necessary evil.
so thank you for that. That was a great tip. I had never heard that before. So thank you for that. And then Anna says, how effective are the water filters of a refrigerator as they compare to a normal water filter? Is it the same or is it less efficient?
No, I think it's as efficient, but here's what you need to make sure you do is remember to replace it. You need to replace them. We replace ours every year, and it's like on my calendar. But it's really the quality of the filter, right? So filter, what is the filter you're putting um, in the refrigerator? And many times you can actually change the filter to filter out the things that are specific for your neighborhood, for your municipality. So you can have a water test done. You can go to the Water Bureau and ask them what is in the water. They test it. They test it very regularly. And then you can, on most water filters, you can actually then specify the water filter to take out those items. It does require research, but it is possible.
Okay, good. And then Joyce is back again with another question. Where can recirculating pumps for hot water heaters be purchased and how large are they?
Okay, so I hate using the HD word, so I go to Lowe's. Most places have them. They're readily available. Talk to your plumber about it. But they are available at Home Depot. I just don't like going there.
Okay.
So,
And then Deborah, she's asking, does the outlet near the toilet have to be on the left for the bidet seats?
yes, it has to be on the left, and it actually has to be a circuit. It's a dedicated circuit, but it does need to be on the left. All of them, let me specify. The two toilets that I specify are DXV and Toto, and those are always on the left-hand side. But I think the majority of them are. I haven't seen one that's on the right. It's always on the left. But they
Oh,
do need to be a dedicated circuit, you guys. They do need to be a dedicated circuit.
okay. And then there's a similar question, one from Tamika and one from Joyce, a similar question about how high up from the finished floor should the outlet be for a bidet seat? Also, can the seat be purchased from Toto for another toilet?
Oh yeah, no, no, you need to make sure that the toilet, I have not found the bidet seats to be universal for every toilet. I really recommend that you stick to the same brand and you make sure that, I think that in my experience, I have not found them to be universal, that they're very specific to brand. So that's the one thing. And I think the height off of the floor needs to be 12 to 18 inches, but please check specs. Check the specs. That's something that I just have to look at.
Okay, and
Okay.
then, okay, great. And then do those toilets come in different heights?
Oh my gosh. Oh yes. Yes, 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 yes. So Toto, I'm 5'4", so a universal height toilet, which kills me, like almost all the toilets are universal height. And boy, we could talk about how universal height toilets are really bad for you if you're short like me. Um, because it's based on how our body likes to eliminate waste. So think about this. This is your bottom, and this is where your knees should be. You really should squat. Your bottom should be down below because it makes your colon straight. I know, right? More information than anybody needs to know. I've done lots of research on this. It's crazy. But there is a way to order a Toto toilet, and I only know it in Toto, with a slim seat. So that way you can get it lower and it's super comfy. Oh my gosh, I love my toilet. I can't believe I'm actually saying that to
That's
like a
great.
million people.
That's great. So Anna's asking, I have seen that the circulator pump is not working well if the bathroom in the house is far from the location of the pump and it is not constant. Is there a way to avoid this problem?
You got to talk to your plumber. You know, that's where I'm the designer and I talk to my plumber about it. Please have a conversation with your plumber. They're nice people and they'll help you because they might say, oh, well, we found it's better to do it this way, or this is the better pump, right? So I bring the conversation up. I talk to the plumber about it, and then I let them specify the exact model because it's specific to the size of the house. You know, and I'm not a plumber. You know, I know that when I turn the water, this is as much I know as toilet about plumbing is if I turn the water on and water comes out, everything is great. You know, if I flush my toilet and everything goes away, it's good.
Yes, yes.
Right. I'm a
So,
designer. Stay in your lane, people. You know, you're the designer, you're not the plumber.
so Paula says, I just read a report yesterday about whether bathing is actually as hygienic as showering, or that we should shower first before getting in the tub. She said, it sounds like it really wastes even more water.
Yeah, that's a Japanese concept. You know, if you go to a bathing house in Japan, you shower and scrub and do your loofah before you get into the bathtub. You know, that's a personal thing. I'm not a bather, so I don't even go there. I have a hard time speccing tubs because they use so much water. I'm the kind of person, you guys, you need to understand that I'm the kind of person who takes a shower in the summertime with a bucket in there to save as much water to water my plants. I'm a
Wow.
freak,
Wow,
okay?
that's a great idea. So we'll keep rolling because I think
Yeah, I'm
questions
good.
keep coming in. Let's see. So Christina, she says, with induction, I like to tell clients that because it doesn't heat the air as much and stay hot as long as gas does, there's less off-gassing when cooking from surrounding cabinets, counters, etc.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely. I mean, that's just basic physics. It makes so much sense, right?
it
Um,
does.
it's much more energy efficient. It does take, please understand though, that if you get induction, um, you have a learning curve. You know, like any of the new appliances, I think when clients get a new appliance, they think that they can use it exactly the same way. It's like, no, you have to learn how to use it and you have to practice. Um, and yeah, but oh my gosh, the new appliances are so incredible and induction is amazing, but you please take the time. Like, I'm a really good cook. I cannot make a hard-boiled egg. It's like so bad. Easter was so disappointing in our house this year.
Oh,
They
that's
were pretty,
funny.
but you opened them up and they were coddled eggs. It was really bad.
Michelle, I know you covered this earlier, but Michelle would like to know, what was the Oceanside information? She said she lost your voice.
Oh, so if you go on Oceanside's website, they have a section in there which will tell you what colors are recycled glass.
Okay, that's good to know.
And it's pretty cool. It's not all the colors, so please note that it's not all the colors, but a lot of the colors are recycled. And if you have a client who's in that range, you know, really cares about that, you can make some changes.
Yeah. So I have Doris would like to know, you mentioned it earlier. Can you give us your lifestyle questionnaire?
You know, I haven't, yeah, I'll post it. You know, I really shouldn't just share everything. I do a lot of research on it, but I'm the kind of person I share. So Debbie, I will send it to you.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah, so it's like 6 pages long, and I send it to my clients ahead of time, and I will say that, you know, they fill it out mostly, not as much as I'd like them to.
I think that's true for, especially if it's 6 pages. I know people,
Exactly.
yeah. So Melody says that she learned so much, and people have been thanking you, by the way. A lot of great
Oh,
information you shared today.
thank you.
Yeah. So Melanie says, Melody, excuse me, what magazine will you be featured in? Are your previous recordings available on sustainability?
Well, I think you guys are going to record it, right?
Yes,
So
we
this
are
is
right
all
now.
got it.
Mhm.
And so it was just recently featured in a few different magazines. I don't remember them all. I'm really bad about that. I think it was KBB or KBDN, one of those. I'm sorry. I'm really bad at social media, okay? And I didn't even post anything. Thank God people posted it on Twitter, and I don't have a lot of followers. So I reposted them on Twitter, but nothing on my social media. So sorry, Debbie.
No, no problem. No problem. So once again, Michelle, she says, here in New Hampshire, the tap water has pollutants. Is a filter better than Poland Springs water?
You know, that I don't know.
Mm.
I would honestly go to your municipality and find out what's in the water and then see if there's filters that are available to take it out. You know, they're only going to do so much. If your water is bad, you know, it's bad. You know, like I don't know how much the people in Flint, Michigan, I mean, they say their water's good now. They say that Flint, Michigan, the water is good now, but when it was bad, I don't know how much I would have put a filter on it and still drank it, you know.
Yeah,
But the last research I read, Flint, Michigan's water is now drinkable.
that's
So
good.
don't quote me that it's bad still, okay?
I know that in LA, I just saw this a clip on the news recently that they're recycling their sewage water, and it's like amazing what they're doing out there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's crazy. Well, see, and I don't want to get political, you guys, but I am going to get political just in a very short thing. This is why we need to fix our infrastructure. Because the reality of our infrastructure, our pipes are old. We buried them a really long time ago. And you know what happens when you put metal in the ground? Eventually it degrades, right?
right.
So that's what we need to fix. We need to fix the fact that we're losing 3.28 trillion gallons of fresh water every year because our pipes are old. I mean, let's be real, we all get old and we all degrade, right? I mean, the reality is from the day you're born, you're dying, right? Right? I hope I didn't just give you anybody like new information, but everything ages and we got to fix it, right?
Yes, yes. And then I know someone's asking about your contact information. I will be giving that out when
Oh,
we do
sure.
our follow-up email.
It's right
Um,
there.
yeah, there we go. Oh,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you.
Oh, and I never changed that
You know
color
what?
there.
Click
I'll
on it.
leave it
There you
like
go.
that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you,
Oh, now
Robin.
I'm going to get my email. Sorry. Now I'm going to send an email to myself. I apologize.
That's okay. No worries. We're good. And then
Yes.
did you, so Doris is asking, did you suggest a whole house filter or just for the kitchen?
I have never, I'm doing a few new construction projects, and if I did that, I would put it on. I've had some clients put reverse osmosis filters on the whole house. That's a pretty big expense. That's something that I don't know. I live in Portland. I mean, I hate to keep saying this, but our water is really good. Um, our water is really good, except for that one year that our water wasn't. But we, we have really good water, so we don't really have that problem. But if I lived like in, I feel sorry for the people in like Vegas. Every time we go to KBIS, is it just the worst thing? You guys, I do have to admit, I drink bottled water when I'm in Las Vegas. Their water is horrible tasting. So I'm admitting I'm not perfect, not anywhere near perfect.
Well, here's another one from, well, that's fine. And you know what? It's wonderful. So this has all been recorded, my friend.
Great.
So Tracy is asking, speaking of bathtubs, realtors say that every home should have at least one tub for bathing small children. How do I answer that
Absolutely.
concern?
Oh, absolutely. So does it have to be the master bathroom or the principal bathroom? If let's talk about a freestanding tub. They're really pretty and they look great, but oh my gosh, I have arthritis in my knees. I can't get out of them. I can't get out of a tub like that. My arthritis is really bad. So they're not great for aging, right? So they're not safe to get into. And I'm just anybody who has one, and I put them in people's homes, but I have conversations with them about how to access them and how to get out of them, right? Um, as long as you have a bathtub somewhere in the house and you put a nice bathtub in, there are a lot of people who like baths, but they have to be does it have to be in the principal bathroom? That's the question. That's the question to ask,
That's a good,
right?
that's a great way to handle that. There was a question here from Jennifer. She said, and I know she can watch the recording. She said, would you please repeat what you said about the shower heads, the GPM and the time length? You said using a shower head with 1.6 GPM was actually more water used than a 2 GPM in 10 minutes. That's interesting.
No, it's actually less, and I
Okay.
apologize. Yeah, it's on here. I can go back to that thing, and some of these. Let me look and see if I can find it a little quicker for you guys. Hold on, I'm just going to look for it and go back and see if I can find it quicker.
Okay.
And it's an older chart, so some of these, I haven't been able to get updated charts on it. Oh, it's this one right here. This one right here, there. So this shows you how much. So if you took a 5-minute shower, how much water you're using,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Yep. And this will all be in the recording, so that can be reviewed.
Absolutely.
And people can stop and take a look at that and maybe even go to that website and see if there's an updated information on that.
Yeah, I looked recently and I haven't found anything newer. That's since 2005 and I haven't found anything newer. So
Oh, okay.
I will tell you, once you start researching this, you won't sleep at night.
Oh dear.
Starts getting crazy. Yeah.
Someone is asking if you're licensed. I'm not sure what that means. I know that you're, CMKBD and CLIP and CAPS, but I don't know why they're
I'm
certified
not
with
a
any
I'm
other.
Yeah, I'm not a general contractor. I'm just a designer. And I don't mean just a designer. I'm not a certified, we don't have certified interior designers like they do in California. We don't have that here.
Okay. All
So
right.
no, I'm a designer. I'm a certified master of kitchen and bath design. That's me.
That's you. That's right. And that was from NKBA, as a matter of fact.
Yes, exactly.
Well,
Exactly. And I got my certification. Oh my gosh, I got my master's, my CMKBD in 2002, I think.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good. That's all good stuff, though. I mean, it doesn't go away. And I know
it
one of
doesn't
the
go away.
important things about being a certified person in any type of certification is that you have to keep up with your education.
You know, that's the best part about this, you guys. If you are not a certified designer, and I don't mean to turn this into an NKBA selling thing, but I do believe in certification. And the best thing that I use it for is to really talk about my education and how much I stay on top of my education. And if I am ever, I no longer take new clients anymore because I teach too much. But when I was bidding against like another design firm, and you know everybody in town, right? So I would just say, well, let me explain to you what a CMKBD is, and not to say anything bad about the other designer because that's bad form, but I would just say, let me explain to you what my certification is about, and they would almost always come to me instead of to them. So it was great.
That is great. And,
Yeah,
a lot of people are saying, thank you so much. And
my pleasure.
someone said they love the pig in the tutu on your shelf. So there you go.
Oh, is that the cutest thing? That's a designer friend of mine who did this. Wait, you have to see her back end. Look at how cute she is. Look at her back end. That's so cute.
Oh, that's
She's so
hysterical.
adorable. I
I'm
love
not
my
sure how they
pig.
saw that, but wow, that was pretty cool. And everyone loves your flower top. So
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah.
I
So
dressed up for you guys. I even wore makeup.
but this has been great. Everyone is thanking you. This has been
Thank
great
you.
information. And
My
again,
pleasure.
I want to thank you, Robin. I want to thank all of you out there in the audience. And of course, to Gebert for sponsoring today's session. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.